Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with Spellbinders once again. This time, however, I'm showing their small die kit of the month, and this is for March of 2019. So, with the, sometimes I can get the small die and the large die confused, but these are all the dies that you get for the month of March. You get these two adorable bunnies. You get a lot of florals, greenery stems. These are what the bunnies look like, so that you have great outlines, or you could actually do some paper piecing, kind of do a little bit of a combination here. Got some carrots going on the tops of the carrots. So there's a lot of pieces, and then there is a sentiment that simply says, be happy. So I came up with this idea. So there's many times that I see Jennifer McGuire keep dies in the cardstock and use the Copics and all of that. So I wanted to give this a try. So I'm going to use my Spellbinders platform. I'm going to set down, I'm following the sandwich. I'm placing my dies up. I'm putting my cardstock down. I'm then placing the awesome rubber mat down and then the embossing plate. So what this is doing is just putting an impression. That's all that I was looking for. I didn't want them to cut through yet. And I'm going to do another sheet on this. So I just want to have that. It didn't have to be even that deep either. I mean, I'm just looking to have all of this sit there. So I grabbed my colored pencils and I'm just going to color. I'm not going to, just like we would with alcohol markers. So now obviously, instead of using the alcohol markers, I wanted to see what effect would I get if I used colored pencils. Now I'm not trying to avoid alcohol markers. Again, they're just, it's not a medium that I gravitate to first. My colored pencils are. So I'm kind of doing the same thing. Now, the difference is your alcohol markers are going to give obviously a more solid color. Okay? Because it's going to go into the paper. It's not, you're able to get into those cracks and crevices and everything else. With the colored pencils, I'm purposely just going straight across the image. If the image, because it's embossed, picks up the color, then it picks up the color. I am not specifically trying now to go into those crevices to make sure that this is colored completely. So what this is actually going to give me, or what I feel it gives me, is almost a watercolor look. Some people may say it looks scratchy. Yes, it does. I mean, again, simple terms here. There may be a specific term for what I'm doing. I don't know. Again, I am not a color pencilist or a colorist on these. These are my medium of choice. I just enjoy them. So I continue to play and what works best for me. All right. If I give you a few tips and tricks along the way, they may work for you. Okay. So this is what I continue to do. And I'm keeping all of this in so that you can see it. You can see how far my hand is back on the pencil. For me, that means I'm placing very little pressure. I'm letting the pencil catch on to the paper and get the pigment down onto it. I'm not worried about being neat. I'm not worried about being careful. I am using two colors. I am using two colors of each of the pencils that I'm using. So in this case, this green, I'm using two shades of green. For the orange, I'm going to use two shades of orange, or I'm going to come in with a brown color just to give it some shading on there. But again, I'm just going back and forth over it. I think it's something that I'm going to continue to work with. But I kind of like the effect. It looks, to me, very watercolory. No, it's not a word, but it's my word. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the dies and I'm going to put them back into those crevices. So I'll be able, and all I have to do is just slide it back and forth and it's going to snap right back into place. So then what I'm going to do now is die cut them. Didn't have to be neat, didn't have to color the small little pieces. I was able to just go back and forth on the large piece that I have here. I just do need to make sure that they are taped down so that they don't shift. I do want them to stay in the embossed areas that we were able to create from before. And this works beautifully. It does put a good impression. I'm not sure if I would have it as deep of an impression, so I mean I may work on that. But you can see they die cut beautifully, they pop right out. And what I will be doing, I'll put them on a piece of white paper so that you can see exactly what they look like. It's a softer look. This card's going to look very different, but I kind of like it. But you can see just the soft textures. It's not heavy, they're not loud, they're not bright, but they're just very soft for spring. Colors that are coming across. And I didn't use a soft palette when I used the colored pencils, but I kind of like the look of it. Very different. So I am going to do that. I wasn't quite sure how many I would need, so I did do another panel as well. For the two bunnies, I made sure that I had two pieces of cardstock layered on top of each other. I wanted to make sure that the Desert Storm was my outline. Again, this is a very monotone looking card, even though it's for spring. Kind of went in a different way. And here I'm just making sure, and it die cut through both of them. So he's actually hanging on in the center of that. And the same thing with the little bunny as well. I've got two layers of cardstock, but I want those to sit together, and you'll see why. And no, there is no adhesive in between. So I'm taking a piece of scrap paper and I'm just cutting some hills. I just want to, I'm going to use those as a stencil. And now I'm going to come in with my green ink, and I'm using my Nuvo blending brush, and I'm just putting some colors down. I use the Nuvo blending brushes because they're going to give the same effect, or close to it, for what I did with the colored pencils and my pieces. Okay, so I didn't want to use a blending brush. Yeah, I keep on, you're going to see another one. This is where I'm passing out, and I do another one. I must have it on my finger somewhere, didn't realize it, but yeah, I'm just spreading ink all over the panel. But we keep going, and we let it go. We can fix it. Okay, so we're going to continue to build those hills. So again, very basic, very soft. So I am going to pull in my sand eraser. When it comes to ink and the way that it looks like this, I was able to pull some of it up. Now, again, usually if I don't see this moving after like 2 seconds with this sand eraser, I move on, and then I will find a way to cover that. I would not throw this panel away. I do not ever throw a panel away. Unless I absolutely just destroy it, meaning I've spilled water all over it, or I've torn it that I didn't, in half. I mean, it has to really be destroyed for me to get rid of it. So I'm going to set my stencils in place, knowing that I use them an opposite way, but that's okay. I just want that area covered. I'm going to be using my dark blue ink, and I'm going to just go straight across the panel. Again, it's going to give me the same look. Now, because I use that sand eraser, that's why I do have that smudge mark, because the paper's a little bit rougher when it comes to that. But that's okay. Makes it look like a cloud. That's how I look at it. See? Gotta let it go. So now what I'm going to do with the two bunnies that I have here, I am going to glue all of this down. So I'm going to have the one layer that's sitting underneath automatically adhered right down onto the cardstock. And I'm going to make sure that he's in a hill there. And I'm going to do the same thing with the larger bunny. Going to be careful that when I take this out, that I'm keeping both layers together. This is what I found to be easier when it comes to these pieces like this, to keep the two layers together or do a double layer so that you can, one, you'll get dimension on your card, which I'm always for, and two, you've just got all of those pieces in there. You don't have to do so much paper piecing. I'm coming in with my tool-in-one to poke out those pieces. So you can see the one rabbit's got a little bit of gray. I do lighten that up a little bit. I thought it was a good idea in the beginning, but I did really want to lighten that up because the other little bunny is just so adorable. I'm going to peel this top outline off, and now I'm going to adhere that down onto the card. So this will be raised up off of the original color that I had, which is what I wanted. So I have two layers when it comes to the outline. Again, it just adds some dimension to the card. Not that there's not going to be dimension with all of those florals and everything else coming around, but if you've seen my previous videos, you know I do love the dimension on my cards. So now that's in place. Now we're just going to work. Now you can see in the upper left-hand corner, I am using the sentiment, be happy, because I think that is just an awesome sentiment. And I was going to use this bright pink. Now, we're going to change our mind. It was just, I did have it on the card. I'm not sure if I kept that part in, but it was just very loud, if that's something that we can say here. So again, even though I do have the light spring colors, and you can see I'm right back to the card real quick because I'm gabbing here. I'm making slits with my craft knives so that I can put these stems, you know, the florals and everything else down into that, and then I'm using Scotch tape on the back to hold them in place so that I can just continue to place things down. But it was just too loud. And this is, again, while I used the soft colors and bright colors, when it comes to the coloring that I did, it's still soft. This is all very matted and in a muted tone. That was just way too bright. So then I did use the Desert Storm to pull in the color from the bunnies. So you can see I'm not really too much worried about gluing down the stems. I like the movement that they're giving. So I'm just making sure that they're adhered to the back. The tops will be secured down with my glue. And then I am having them cross over. Now I did come in with one of my white colored pencils just to try to light up this larger bunny. He was just looking a little too, I just wanted to give him some shading. There was just something off with that. Now the color pencil, the white that I'm using there, that is one of the Faber-Castells. Now that's an oil based, so when it comes to that, it's not as opaque. Your Prismacolor white is a more opaque white than your Faber-Castell. So I do eventually come in with the white Prismacolor, and that does help to lighten it up just a little bit. And something that I didn't think of, I should have just come in with my white pigment ink. I have these little tiny detail brushes that I could just go right in there. Just to add some shading. I didn't want to change his color completely because I did want that gray. I like gray bunnies. But I didn't want it that dark because of the outline. I thought it was kind of getting lost. And you can see the Prismacolor is there because I was able to get him just lightened up just a little bit. So now that our panel's done, we're going to put this on our standard A2 size card panel, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I do tend to lean towards a top folding. It's just a preference that I've picked up. I very rarely do use a side folding card. And that's pretty much, when it comes to the cardstock, what I'm going to do. I'm not going to add any sequins or anything, but I am going to add a little tiny bow. I am going to double that up, try to tie this bow without driving myself crazy, because I can't tie bows. It's horrible. I can't believe I kept all this in for you all to witness on how bad of bows I am. I do secure this down with some glue dots to make sure that it does stay secured. Usually if I am applying a bow, I will always use my glue dots. I very rarely will use my my liquid glue for that. Glue dots for me give an immediate adhesion. I'm just going to trim that up. And that is our card. So I hope you enjoyed it. And again, this was the small die kit of the month for March 2019. They do also have a large. I can only imagine what that is. But you can see the value that you do get. You do get many dies, and they're buildable. So that's something else that I enjoy as well, to build with your die cuts, and you're not limited. You can use them for other things. You know, the greenery and the florals, you can use them all year round. You don't have to use them just for Easter, and so forth. So they do make their kits extremely versatile, and you can really find ways to stretch them. So again, I hope everyone did enjoy the project. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All the products that I did use will also be listed down below in case you want to check them out and just get any other information. I do want to thank you so much again for watching. If you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe, be part of our group here, and make sure tune in for my next video. Here are a few videos that are very similar to this that are in the Spellbinders projects that I have completed previously. But take care, everyone, and always remember, be creative.